so goddamn rich.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Getting fucking rich. I want my fucking money. Griffin, I want my fucking money. Yo, motherfucker. Holy shit, we're gonna be so fucking rich. Damn it, we're gonna be so fucking rich. Griffin, I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
Hey,
aren't you?
yelling, give me the fucking money. Let's go. Get the goddamn money printer out.
Great. The bounty letter.
We're gonna be so fucking rich. Get the goddamn money printer out. You heard him, Jerome Powell. Get that fucking money printer out. What's going on, everybody? Hanging out here with Boss Blunt's Think Tank and my guy Zoombach. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, get that money
It's
printer
gonna
out.
burn.
The world is about to burn. Check this out. You guys have to see this video. Watch this. There's a small portion of this video where I have to mute it for like 10 seconds while he talks about the VAX. But you already know what he's going to say because it's going to show you at the bottom in the closed captioning. But I can't let it play because I already got a copyright strike for it just on Saturday when I tried to upload this video. Check it out. Check it out.
I may be dead by the time you watch this. Very possibly are. You don't know who's the man who's making things he wants you to see. Destroy your television sets. Now. You must listen to no orders. That's all I can tell you for this point of humanity.
The actor and comedian Rick Mayall has died suddenly at the age of 56. He shot to fame in The Young Ones and starred in some of the most successful comedy series of the 1980s and 90s. He lives behind his wife and 3 children.
So now you're telling me that climate change is fake?
As you know it.
Why do you recycle? Why do you recycle?
I'm doing my bit.
So you're trying to save the planet?
Yeah.
How precious of you to think that you could save the planet. If she needed saving, especially from us, she'd just wipe us out. People in power are using fear to fuel the racism. How long before they use this racism to make soldiers turn on their own? Innocent people living in a police state.
It's already begun. Controlling and monitoring the movement of individuals within the society. Putting chips in passports, ID cards, CCTV.
They're using this orchestrated ruse to convince the public to accept Big Brother-type controls. And then they will intentionally reduce the mass of the...
Read this.
horrible thing to say. But isn't it just as bad not to say it?
Questions?
These are the things that are going on in there. It's like an octopus with arms. It's many, many arms, but you got to go after the head of the octopus in this one. Who is it? The central banks, the IMF, the ECB, the private West central banks, the BIS, the Rothschild banks.
The Federal Reserve really, even though it is not part of the federal government, it is more powerful than the federal government. It's more powerful than the president, the Congress, and the courts.
The problem is that since 1864, we've had a debt-based banking system. All our money is based on government debt. We cannot extinguish government debt without extinguishing our money supply. That's why talk of paying off the national debt without reforming our banking system is an impossibility. That's why the solution does not lie in discussing the size of the national debt, rather it lies in reforming our banking system. There's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve, and there are no reserves. The name is a deception created back before the Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913 to make Americans think that America's central bank operates in the public interest.
Why can't Congress do something about the Fed? Most members of Congress just don't understand the system, and the few who do are afraid to speak up.
As difficult as it was for me, I have come to an inescapable and profoundly disturbing conclusion. I believe that an elite group of people and the corporations they run have gained control over not just our energy, food supply, education, and health care, but over virtually every aspect of our lives. And they do it by controlling the world of finance, not by creating more value, but by actually controlling the source of money. When I followed the money, I found that it took me up the levels of a pyramid. Here we are at the bottom level going about our daily lives. Above us is government, people who are given a monopoly on force and use it to tax and control us whether or not we agree. But who controls them? At the next level are the corporations. Many would say that it is now corporations and not nation states that rule the world. They call it a corporatocracy. To acquire the world's resources and control the markets, this corporatocracy must have access to cheap money. The big corporations get their loans at special rates from the big banks, which means that those who control the major banks, the moneyed elite, ultimately control the corporations. As I've followed the money, I've learned that almost everything I once believed about money is simply not true.
The problem is we have a privately owned central bank system in the United States disguised as a government-owned system. Now, if you look in the telephone book here in the Washington, D.C. area, you look up for Federal Reserve in the blue government pages, it's not there. It's in the white pages right next to Federal Express. It's a privately owned central bank.
One of the most outspoken critics in Congress of the Fed was the former chairman of the House Banking and Currency Committee during the Great Depression years. Lewis T. McFadden, Republican of Pennsylvania, said in 1932, "We have in this country one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board. This evil institution has impoverished the people of the United States and has practically bankrupted our government." Senator Barry Goldwater was a frequent critic of the Fed. Most Americans have no real understanding of the operation of the international moneylenders. The accounts of the Federal Reserve System have never been audited. It operates outside the control of Congress and manipulates the credit of the United States.
The Founding Fathers knew the evils of a privately owned central bank. First of all, they had seen how the privately owned British central bank, the Bank of England, had run up the British national debt to such an extent that Parliament had been forced to place unfair taxes on the American colonies.
Ben Franklin claimed that this was the real cause of the American Revolution. Most of the Founding Fathers realized the potential dangers of banking and feared bankers' accumulation of wealth and power. Jefferson put it this way:
I sincerely believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs.
That succinct statement of Jefferson is, in fact, the solution to all our economic problems today.
Here's how it works. They print it, we borrow it, and we pay them interest.
This is garbage. This is garbage. Your people in South Africa, you have your rand, right? That's going to zero. That's going to zero. This is going to zero too. Euros are going to zero. The yen's going to zero. The Chinese currency is going to zero. It's all going to zero against Bitcoin. If you don't understand that yet, you're going to be impoverished. You're going to be on the street. You're going to be begging. You're going to be out of business. You're going to be toast.
James Madison, the main author of the Constitution, agreed. Interestingly, he called those behind the central bank scheme money changers. Madison strongly criticized their actions.
History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance.
The battle over who gets to issue our money has been the pivotal issue throughout the history of the United States. Wars are fought over it, depressions are caused to acquire it. Yet after World War I, this battle was rarely mentioned in newspapers or history books. Why? By World War I, the money changers, with their dominant wealth, had seized control of most of the nation's press.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish the same things are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias.
Democracy. All the Trump supporters that I talked to who were Trump voters.
He's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts, and it could be that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah,
that is our job.
You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls.
These authoritarians hate Bitcoin, and it's for the same reason. Why do they hate Joe Rogan? Because they can't control him. He's not subject to their authoritarian power. Why do they hate Bitcoin? Because they can't control it.
There's only one useful thing that any of us can do every day when we get up. One thing that matters above all. That one thing is convince someone to convert some other form of property into Bitcoin.
By a show of hands, how many people hold Bitcoin? Not bad, not bad. What I would recommend highly for anybody who doesn't, get off zero, like today. We'll talk a little bit about it. But what is it?
That's pretty much the end of the clip there. I posted this on X because I tried to post this on Saturday to YouTube and I got a copyright strike. So there's a portion there, about 30 seconds, where I had to mute the video to prevent this from getting me another copyright strike, because 3 strikes and your channel gets deleted permanently off of YouTube. That is the shit algorithm and the shit we're dealing with, simply because you say something that the CDC does not agree with, even though it has been proven to be false, you can get kicked off of YouTube. And that's where we're at now with the cerveza sickness, the C-19 bullshit. It's still under control of big money. And that's exactly what this entire video has been talking about. I find it extremely powerful that even Thomas Jefferson had said that I sincerely believe that the banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Now, this video here, this was part of a video that was of a movie that was being made before this guy was killed. This guy was killed right before he was able to release the movie One by One, which he was filming at the time of his death. He died suddenly. For those of you, for anybody out there, period, I would like it to be perfectly clear. I would never do anything to harm myself or anyone that I love in any way. Life is too precious for that kind of bullshit. If there were to ever be an accident, well, I think it would be Hillary and Friends, the World Economic Forum. But anyways, let's move on. What you see here with banks is still happening right now every single day. Right now you're looking at it. Just today, there was a filing in federal court in Manhattan, New York, January 8th, in which Bill Hwang and his defense attorneys for Archegos Capital, the now defunct hedge fund, said that the defense learned on Friday that prosecutors of the case failed to produce 14 gigabytes of data. 14 gigabytes of data that comprised of 27 million rows and 63 columns of information that they obtained in November of 2021. This means that the lawyers for the prosecution against Archegos Capital and Bill Hwang are hiding 14 gigabytes of swaps data and other information from you and I and from the court system because they did not want that information to become public. Archegos had borrowed aggressively to gain margin trading capacity and achieved $160 billion in exposure to stocks on the market, and they were unable to meet the margin calls when prices on the S&P began to fall, and they needed to buy massive amounts of shares of things like AMC and Gamestop stock to hedge against the losses being seen in their swaps and other derivatives. That led to some banks like Credit Suisse and others to dump stocks that were backing his swaps, causing big losses for Archegos and Credit Suisse, which is now owned by UBS, who holds all those legacy expenses and legacy costs that were incurred through Credit Suisse and Archegos. They have not disappeared. They are now under the umbrella of UBS, as well as losses for Nomura Holdings, one of the largest Japanese hedge funds in the entire world, and banks. This is damning evidence that the government prosecutors, attorneys that work in the finance sector are trying to withhold information not only from the defense, but from the public. Because the defense having it would be bad enough. But a lot of that information is going to come out in the courtroom. That means that you and I are going to be able to see, possibly even see, how many billions or tens of billions of dollars in short positions and swaps and margin calls Archegos and Credit Suisse and UBS had and continues to have, as those have not just gone poof into the ether. They don't cease to exist. They simply move up the chain from the hedge fund or the family office to the prime broker to the clearinghouse, etc. You know, everything goes up the chain. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. 14 gigabytes of data. If you understand a little bit about tech, you'll realize that that's an absolute massive, massive amount of data. 27 million rows. Not 100, not 1,000, not 10,000, but 27 millions. Unreal. And what else are we seeing right now? Today, Evergrande shares plunged 23%. Did you know that about that shit, Zembach? Evergrande. Yeah. Go ahead, brother. You heard about that shit?
Yeah.
Dude, can you believe that
from the think tank
person in one of the board of directors of Evergrande EV company is also being arrested for this shit, bro? This is wild. Wild. The level of corruption just does not cease to amaze me. Everything from the Chinese Communist Party to the executives and the richest elites in China, all the way across the ocean, through Europe and Asia, all the way to North and South America. They're all intermingled. They're all intertwined. And Evergrande, including their EV unit and their real estate commercial development, are possibly the black swan that should have already occurred dozens and dozens of times. Evergrande kicked the can last month, and there was an agreement to push back their bankruptcy court date to January 29th. It was in early December. They agreed with their bondholders and the judge to kick it back to January 29th of 2024. And it's really a big deal. And the reason that they continue to push this on and on is not because they care so much that bondholders get repaid, but more so that there's massive concern that hundreds and hundreds of banks, including BlackRock and Vanguard, hold huge positions in Evergrande bonds, their commercial real estate sector for Evergrande's company, as well as the EV unit subsidiary company of them. China recently reduced capital gains tax on stock trading by 50% to prevent a market collapse. Evergrande was down 87% on the first day that they resumed trading. The Chinese government ordered state banks and funds to buy stocks to boost the stock markets because they were collapsing. The global banks and crypto exchanges like Tether hold massive amounts of Evergrande bonds, as is the contract collateral at their original historical value or at a slightly reduced value. Evergrande filed Chapter 15 bankruptcy protection to prevent international banks from pursuing repayments of nearly $1 trillion in losses. And when this bankruptcy case actually occurs, if they're found to be bankrupt and liquidated, which they are already bankrupt, of course, because they had a $5.8 billion loss last year, these bonds and commercial notes will become 100% worthless and no longer allowing any ISDA members, the world's largest banks and funds, to use them as collateral. And why can't they just sell these? Because nobody's fucking buying them. Would you buy Evergrande bonds if you could right now? Think about it. I think you'd have to be the stupidest person in the world to buy Evergrande bonds or shares right now. Margin calls across heavily shorted asset classes are highly likely if there is a fire sale on assets to meet margin calls. Things like AMC stock, Gamestop stock, MMAT, BBBY, who knows, gold, silver, actual precious metals, miners like Hycroft Mining Company, credit default swaps, credit default obligations, meme stocks, and other indices that run inverse to the stock market, such as the Volatility Index, the VIX, other ETFs like PSLV, the Sprott Physical Silver Trust Exchange Traded Fund, and so on. There's many, many more, UVXY, SQQQ, and so on. But blue chip stocks, real estate, because of everything going on in the real estate sector, both commercial and residential, and all the mortgage-backed securities that would collapse in the wake of a crisis, such as Evergrande, and all of the other things associated with that. I won't get into the nitty-gritty. Would definitely lead to a collapse in the value of commercial and residential mortgage-backed securities. Thus, blue chip stocks, real estate, both commercial and residential, and even crypto that is overheld by retail and is not sufficiently important to the central banks, are likely to collapse to fund their need for collateral. And again, heavily shorted stocks could also include heavily shorted cryptocurrencies, such as Dogecoin or XRP. It all depends on the levels of long and shorts in each asset class. And again, this is not financial advice. This is just educational information. Do your own fucking due diligence. You can follow me at BossBlunts1 on Twitter if you're not already, and I will bring you more of this sort of information. But as you can see clearly here, this just happened just today, maybe 4 hours ago tops, January 8th. Evergrande NEV, their electric vehicle division, announced that the company has learned that its executive director, Mr. Liu Yangzhou, has been detained in accordance with the law on suspicion of illegal crimes. And of course, CNBC doesn't have the data of what those illegal crimes are, but this is like the 12th guy from Evergrande to be arrested for money laundering, fraud, racketeering, and so on and so on and so on. It's just a matter of time.
They need to do that over here.
God, I wish they fucking
would. Arrest some people over here.
The CCP just sentenced somebody to life in prison. Did you see that? Just a few weeks ago. A banker. They sentenced him to life in prison.
We need to hire them.
It's sad when the Chinese Communist fucking Party is doing more to stop financial corruption and bankers that are robbing the everyday people than the Securities Exchange Commission and FINRA and the United States government. That's a fucking joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame.
What the fuck is this country coming to? Look, right now, hedge funds are literally suing the Securities Exchange Commission because the SEC is forcing them to report short data. Literally, the SEC came out with new regulations to make the short hedge funds report their short data more than once every 15 days. And the hedge funds are suing the SEC in order to try to stop that from happening. Wild, brother. Wild. Shorts are absolutely fucked. Holy shit. And of course, you got good old boy Ken Griffin saying markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities, trying to drive the value of companies towards where we think they should be valued. Ken Griffin is pretty much telling you that as a market maker, we and other market makers such as Susquehanna, State Street, Virtue Financial, Citadel, we will naked short and sell short and synthetic short and sell shares that we don't have in order to drive down your favorite stock's stock price to where we think it should be valued. That's fucking wild, isn't it? These are the people that need to be blamed when people are angry about a stock price. AMC, when it was in a worse cash position, ran from $1.70 a share to $79 a share in intraday trading. In a worse cash position, with more debt, with fewer shareholders, with lower on-balance volume, meaning less people holding. Now there are more shareholders, stronger revenue streams, stronger profits. AMC is profitable, net profits and gross profits, before and after EBITDA adjustments. There are more shareholders physically holding the stock, holding more shares of stock. At this point, when accounting for the conversion of APE shares to AMC shares and the reverse split, the short interest is higher than ever, even though you cannot see that in the numbers because the Ortex data does not accurately reflect the short interest from prior to the conversion and reverse split. As a matter of fact, I could only imagine how many billions, if not probably tens of billions of shares. I've thought for a long time that there was tens of billions of shares sold short and synthetic shares out there in existence. In order for you and I, all 4 million plus retail investors in AMC stock alone, not including Gamestop, just AMC stock, to make the entire float having been sold, that would mean that we each only have 57 shares. But I don't know, 57 shares. Chris, do you have more than 57 shares? Captain Awesome? Andrew?
Hell yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. How many more times do you think? 10, 20, 100 times more? 1,000 times more than that?
Hell yeah. Don't forget AMC also has $1 billion in the bank.
That's right. AMC has cash on hand, $1 billion in cash on hand with a market cap of only $1.25 billion. They almost have as much cash in the bank than their entire fucking market cap right now because guys like Ken Griffin want to say that the stock price is worth X, when in reality, we know that stock price is not real. We know that it's being heavily manipulated. And a lot of people are holding strong. Let me know in the comments You don't have to put how many shares you got, but just give me an estimate. I got 50 times that number of shares. Do you have 57 shares? Do you have 500 times that number of shares? Do you have 4x shares, 5x shares, 6x shares? Let's hear it. Because even guys, a lot of very famous individuals have begun to understand what's happening with AMC. And even Jon Stewart said on a space call that this conversation doesn't end here. The one thing I've learned, he said, in all this time is that they are banking on you losing your stamina. They are banking on you losing your tenacity. The fact that this strength is in your community and it's so strong and it's evolving is the worst thing that could happen to them in regards to the short sellers. That's a lot of fucking shares, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of fucking shares. Even Steve Bannon has come out and said on his show publicly, Wall Street uses your money to destroy you. They use your taxes and pension funds to destroy you. That is the greatest scandal out there. And now you have a holy war by the ape army driving up stock shorts, and they're relentless. What the apes want is a complete and total destruction of a corrupt and incompetent system. And like them or hate them, doesn't really matter. The fact is that Steve Bannon is on fucking point. It doesn't matter if someone is left or right, center, straight, gay, purple, yellow, blue, brown, white, black, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, or anything in between. The fact of the matter is that we are the 99.9%, and it is a small club, as George Carlin said, and we are not in that fucking club. Therefore, we've got to do everything that we need to do to make sure that we do what we can as individuals to make changes, positive changes in financial markets for our future, for mine and yours, your mom's, your dad's, your child's, your grandchild's, your great-great-great-great-grandchild's, because we can change the world as individuals and together. There are millions of us that are sick and fucking tired of getting taxed to death. Sick and fucking tired of working 40, 60, 80 hours a week for these pieces of shit to rob us from it through taxes and inflation, which is just another invisible tax, while bringing in people from other countries that don't speak the language, that don't want to make this country a better place, that have no interest in the betterment of our community. We need to focus on ourselves, our children, our families, our friends. I'm seeing a lot of fucking shares up there. And there's no way that the average AMC shareholder only has 57 fucking shares. JR says the fact that we keep buying and no one's selling shows you we own the float and more. You're absolutely fucking right, man. And I don't think we own the float just a little bit. I think we own the float multiple times over at this point. I know if everybody had the same number of shares that, say, I had, we'd own the float 20, 30, 40 times over. Maybe way more than that. That's a lot of synthetic fucking shares. So many shares, however, that the SEC is charging Virtue, the broker-dealer, the market maker, is legally charging them for false and misleading disclosures relating to information barriers. They're being charged with market manipulation, with front-running your trades. On September 12th of 2023, the SEC filed charges in court against Virtue Americas, LLC, the hedge fund, and its parent company, Virtue Financial, collectively Virtue, for making materially false and misleading statements and omissions regarding to information barriers to prevent the misuse of sensitive customer information. They're talking about your orders, your buys, your sells, on the stock market were given from the market maker to the hedge fund with the exact details: who, what, when, where, how, and how much. And then they were able to front run your trades for many, many, many months. As alleged, okay, that's an allegation. As alleged in the SEC's complaint, Virtue Americas and its affiliates operated two businesses, a market maker and a hedge fund, that it purported to have walled off from each other, an order execution service for large institutional customers, whereby Virtue Americas executed customer orders, typically for a commission. They are talking right now about the payment for order flow using Virtue Market Maker, who went to these institutions such as Fidelity, Schwab, Robinhood, Webull, and hundreds of other stock brokerage firms, and paid them via payment for order flow fractions of a penny more than the New York Stock Exchange would pay them for the customer's orders. Now, their proprietary trading business through which Virtue America bought and sold securities for its own accounts and benefits is a hedge fund. From January of 2018 through April 2019, almost an entire year and a half, Virtue Americas allegedly failed to safeguard a database, blah, blah, bullshit. Failed, huh? They failed to safeguard it, that contained all post-trade information generated from customer orders routed to and executed by Virtue Americas, including customer identifying information and other material non-public information. That means Virtue has records of what you bought, how much you paid, what your name is, where you live, what your holdings are, and they can decide whether they want your share prices to go up or down, whether they want to trade against you or with you, or use and abuse that information, however the fuck they please. The Securities Exchange Commission complaint alleges that this database was accessible to practically anyone at Virtue Americas and its affiliates. So not just anyone that worked at Virtue, but any of the Virtue affiliate companies. Oh, hey, maybe Wendy's over there was able to figure out what you were buying and trade against you. Who fucking knows who their affiliates are, including their proprietary traders, hence their quants, the hedge fund traders, the financial advisors, the high-frequency trading algorithm programmers, and so on, through two sets of widely known and frequently shared generic usernames and passwords. I wonder if the password was password. So, basically, Virtue Americas proprietary trader allegedly could observe that Virtue Americas had executed the orders of a large institutional customer, say Robinhood, throughout the day, understand that the same customer may follow a similar trading pattern over the next days, and take advantage of such information by trading ahead of the customer's subsequent orders. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. They are being sued by the SEC for market manipulation and front-running your orders. Are you okay with that? I'm not. That's why we're creating a new stock brokerage firm. When I say we, I mean my partners, my team, and I, as well as retail investors such as yourself. Because we're creating Lit Exchange with the opportunity for people like you and I to own equity in the company and to do things that actually benefit retail investors. And I'll tell you what, right now, I've made a lot of enemies because of this. The stock market is mad because the poors did a capitalism. That's literally the fact. Retail orders are constantly routed into dark pools. You can go to the subreddit Lit Exchange Official. Here's the spelling of it right there. No E at the beginning of Lit Exchange. Lit Exchange Official. And join the official subreddit for Lit Exchange, on which we will be continuously posting more information in the future, tips and tricks, and so on. Retail orders are constantly routed into dark pools. Market makers, such as Virtue, outbid the New York Stock Exchange to buy retail orders from your stockbroker using payment for order flow, like Webull and Robinhood. The market makers then route your orders into dark pools, which eliminates upwards price action of the stock that you're buying, which is legal, even though it's shady and immoral and absolute bullshit. The market makers then short the stock on lit markets like the New York Stock Exchange in order to push prices down further. It is time to fight back. And that's why at Lit Exchange, our goal is to route retail orders directly to lit markets, such as the New York Stock Exchange and IEX, Investors Exchange, etc., giving you the ability to positively affect your stock price. Regulation D and Regulation CF campaigns will be launching in later this month if the SEC gets back to us fast enough, pending the Securities Exchange Commission approval here, that will give you and I, all of us retail investors, the ability to own equity in Lit Exchange as we aim to change markets for the greater benefit of the 99%. The reason we're doing this is because every other stock brokerage firm like Robinhood and Webull and so on has gone out to venture capital firms, big money firms, hedge funds, and banks and said, give us money and we'll give you a piece of our company and we'll do whatever the fuck you want. The difference is Lit Exchange needs to be owned by retail investors so that that does not fucking happen. Therefore, we are giving you, retail investor, the opportunity to own this company, to own actual shares of equity in this company so that when it does IPO, then you will have the chance to possibly make a significant return on your investment. Now, accredited and not accredited investors will have the opportunity to be part of this. I know a lot of people were like, oh, I'm not an accredited investor. I don't have $1 million in the bank. Can I still participate? The answer is yes. This is the biggest positive change that has been seen in the stock market in many, many decades. And opposed to others like Robinhood, which are owned by these venture capital firms that are looking out for their own interest, we're going to be looking out for our own best interests. That's why I want retail to own this company. So if you want, you can go to litexchange.com, sign up with your email address, and you'll be contacted the moment that we get the SEC approval for our founders programs. And at that point, you'll receive everything from the business plan to the proposals to the company information to my information, our partners, and so on for you to review and decide if it's something that you would like to purchase equity in. You'd basically literally be buying shares of stock from our company before anybody else in the world got the opportunity to do so. And you want change, it's in the name, Lit Exchange. That's literally the fucking name. It's in the name because we will be routing everything to lit markets, to lit exchanges. Even though we are a stockbroker, I think the name is perfectly fitting because people need to realize that orders need to be automatically directed to lit exchanges instead of sold to the highest bidder for them to front run your fucking trades, because this is what fucking happens all the time. The SEC is not suing them because they have a little bit of information. The SEC is suing them because they know they're going to win. They know they're going to win. The SEC has had a couple of losses, but overall, they have prosecuted successfully hundreds and hundreds of companies and people in court every single year. So go ahead and check us out. Again, we're going to be a stock and cryptocurrency brokerage firm, we are going to be doing everything legally and legitimately directly through FINRA and the SEC. Why? Because there's no other choice. You cannot operate a stock or crypto brokerage without doing so. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting sued into the ground, like, for example, Coinbase, who at this time is successful, but is currently undergoing a lawsuit, as well as many others that have already shut down for operating an illegal cryptocurrency exchange. We will empower retail's rights to market equality and equity. More transparency is required, which is what we're going to offer you, along with the absolute highest quality user interfaces, charts, educational tools, and so on. So check out our Founders Program campaign, which is coming in the next couple of weeks, maybe a little bit longer, but you will hear about it here. I will be on YouTube and Twitter. I will be reaching out to other podcasts. I will be reaching out to radio stations, other magazines. We've got a PR team who is already working on getting us in contact with other individuals, television stations, daytime talk shows, morning TV shows, business shows, and so on, so that we can spread the word to as many retail investors as possible. So you can also include your email here. There's a box here, but I'm already subscribed, so it just shows that. You can become a beta tester and so on. And again, this is not a solicitation to buy, sell, or hold any securities or products of any kind. This is simply information pending the Regulation D and CF campaign approvals from the Securities Exchange Commission in the coming weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, that being said, yes, I still very, very firmly believe that AMC and GameStop are going to go retail's way. I think that people holding meme stocks and precious metals is extremely important, especially in times of high volatility. The stock market right now is absolutely ripping to nearly new all-time highs. A lot of that is due directly to the fact that a lot of money market funds and banks that were investing in the reverse repurchase program had to move that collateral back into the stock market and out of the reverse repurchase program, because in March of 2023, the DTC cut the collateral value by 100%. It gave them a 100% haircut on the collateral for most large banks, everything from Bank of America all the way down to Wells Fargo. There was over 40 different banks involved, and all of their affiliates as well. Lenders with lines of credit with those banks saw a lot of their collateral become almost zero, and therefore they had to rush out with all of their excess liquidity into the stock market to purchase up blue chip stocks like Nvidia and Meta and Google, etc., thus propping them up even further, bringing the S&P up even further, while making it look like everything is fine, when in reality, if you've done even an iota of research on our economy, on our stock market, on our bond market, real estate market, an automobile market, even our jobs market, and many, many other things, supply chain and logistics markets, you would realize that we are in a global recession and very likely, possibly, will be in a global depression in the coming years. I hate to say that, but I am a realist. I'm neither a perma bull nor a perma bear. I shift with the ebb and flow of the markets and the Federal Reserve. But the fact of the matter is, what's happening right now with the growth of this country's spending and printing of money and money supply is unsustainable. Unsustainable. All of these bubbles that we're seeing, the everything bubble in the asset classes currently, it is impossible for it to last forever, regardless of how much money the Fed prints and how much QE and quantitative easing occurs. It's impossible for it to last forever. They have no choice but to switch the US dollar to some sort of other to some sort of other currency. It might be a central bank digital currency. It really is seeming like that is the way we're going to go. And sadly, Bitcoin has been abused now and taken over by BlackRock and the government to the point where the BlackRock owns 30% of all Bitcoin now, and that is not good. That is not good for us either, as well as the new exchange-traded funds that are being issued on on Bitcoin and so on, because that will allow for more derivatives and more manipulation. That is the exact opposite of what most people had hoped for it. So, as you know, nothing gets out of the purview of the Internal Revenue Service and the White House and the government, and neither will Bitcoin, sadly. So let's take a look and see what happens. Make sure you've got your finger on the pulse of things. Make sure you're properly hedged. Nothing lasts forever, ladies and gentlemen. Not all-time highs in the stock market. Not all-time lows on heavily shorted asset prices either. This is a roll of toilet paper. Pretty soon, meme stock shareholders will be wiping their ass with $100 bills like this. I got this as a gift from an ape. We're going to be so motherfucking rich.
Hell yeah.
You got anything you want to say, brother?
Hedgie burn. Coming for those motherfuckers.
I'm not fucking leaving, huh?
Where's Cash when we need him? Oh, there he is.
Is he here? Is he here? Man, what's that?
Yeah.
What sounds that fucking money printer make, bro? He's probably eating a fucking steak right now. He can't unmute that shit. He's got a fucking ribeye in one hand and apple pie in the other. Oregon Wild Boy says, if there's no price discovery, I won't sell. This isn't about money for me. I'm a minimalist hippie type. We, the people, are the sovereign. Peace. Power to the people, my friend. Power to the people. Let me see a couple questions here. Tech We Love asks, how do I know 100% that my orders will be sent to Lit Exchange and never to dark pools or other market makers? Forgive me for my pessimism, my friend, because we will send you receipts. We will send you the receipts. We will tell you exactly where your order was routed to, at what timestamp, down to the millisecond. And there could be no denying it. And I'm sure a lot of people will be like, oh, well, how do I know you're not just lying about that? Well, my friend, because if we lied about that, we would also be getting sued like this by the Securities Exchange Commission. And you're not going to see that fucking happen. You're not going to see us fucking getting sued for front running your trades with our hedge fund or for lying to you like Robinhood did about how much profit they make off payment for order flow. I have no interest in any of that because I am a fucking retail investor. I want my kids to have a fair fucking market. I want you all of us, to have fair fucking markets because I cannot deal with the corruption and the lies and the manipulation and the robbing of regular people that are just struggling to get by, just struggling to make enough in their 401k or IRA or pension to simply not have to fucking starve or not get proper medical health care when they're 70 fucking years old. We deserve better, my friend.
Hear, hear.
Cheers, brothers. I think I've had enough for one day. Let's call it a night. I wish you all peace and wealth. Have a great day, my friends. I'll leave you with a song, but this one's not going to be the same song you just heard at the beginning of the intro. This is going to be my friend Paul P, because speaking of that, what we just talked about, we don't know what everyone's living through. Times are tough. You know, we as people are living through a lot of hard times and really deserve better out of our financial fucking markets. We deserve better out of our government. We deserve better out of this country.
All the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through.
AMC gonna go burr, 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 burr.
That I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through. All the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through. Thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm sipping on this whiskey. Got one chance and it's risky, so you can't play around. And I got my team behind me like a background. I don't never back down, picking up the slack now. Now I'm focused, keep on grinding for my stacks now. I'm feeling lost in this ocean, where's a lighthouse? I keep on swinging for the fence and I ain't strike out. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling, yeah, that's how I'm feeling now. We're not here for a long time, yeah. It's 9 to 5, it's a long grind, yeah. A lot of to success, it's a long climb, yeah. Now I'm sitting here making up for time, yeah. Man, I took so many losses that I lost count. I didn't know what I was made of, but I found out. And this life will blindside, you better look out. These haters wanna see you fall and get you took out. Yeah, cause I fell on my face. And this life is a race, I keep on checking my place. Now I'm riding for my team, you can tell by my plates. And this life just threw a hook, it caught me right in the face. But I'm getting back up, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll climb a couple of mountains, I'll swim a couple of lakes. Don't got time for the bitching, don't got time for complaints. Now you going through some shit, now tell me how does it taste? You don't know all the shit that I've been through. All the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through. Thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through. All the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through. Thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm living with my choices, I just own my mistakes. Cause I'm screaming fucking hand down, I ain't searching for breaks. But I'm barely treading water and this life is the lake. Now the pressure keeps on building as I'm raising the stakes. I ain't looking for advice, now I'm looking for space. Now I'm dealing with these losses, but I know I hate the taste. Now I'm sitting back, I'm thinking as I smoke it to the face. Now it's time for these apologies, the time it's too late. So bygones be bygones, I'm on business with a tie on. So fuck a shoulder to cry on, I'ma get a hoppin' like Zion. Let's raise a glass, I'll toast that. Reminisce, we roast that. How I wrote them and ain't wrote back. I'm never flimsy to goats backs. I don't feel bad, no not at all. When a lot of years, write a lot of calls, a lot of birthdays without a call. Ain't got time for that, so fuck a fraud. You ain't there for me, I ain't there for you. You won't bleed for me, I won't bleed for you. All the hard times I lived through, keep moving, gotta get through. I got goals and cash I gotta get to. All these memories that I flipped through. If you can't relate, then don't judge. I stand my ground, I won't budge. I'm sitting back cause I burn buds. I swear to God, this life's good. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through.